Alright, hey guys, OnlyGamer here, back in another video, and in today's video I just wanted to have a bit of a discussion regarding the up-and-coming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. Now, a couple of weeks back when the trailer was revealed on the 4th of March, I did a trailer reaction to it. The first time reaction to a trailer, and I talked about the fact that I was really excited for the game, you know, the fact that it was actually finally coming out after initially being cancelled like 3 years ago or whatever it was. When Vicarious Visions were originally going to do it themselves, but then Activision canned it for no reason. But now the project is coming back under a new developer, Iron Galaxy. So if you want to see my initial first impressions of the actual trailer itself, just go watch that video. But in this one, I'm basically just going to be talking about like my overall thoughts on what I think about the game so far, what I think about some of the controversial changes that they've made to the game, and etc. So starting off, the game looks amazing. It looks on par with Pro Skater 1 and 2, and that game was stunning as well. So this game is just like with that going to be absolutely beautiful. You know, some of the levels that we've seen so far, like Rio and Foundry, College from THPS 4, like the increase in detail has just been absolutely insane, you know, compared to their original versions on the PS2. And yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Of course, it's only going to look that good if you're playing on like a current gen system. If you're playing the game on Nintendo Switch, it's going to be blurry as hell, more likely. Just like Pro Skater 1 and 2 was, if you play the Switch version of that. Yeah, it didn't look particularly great, but, you know, I mean, it is the Switch. It's kind of to be expected. Hopefully all the original levels should still be intact. We've only seen footage of, like I said, mostly Pro Skater 3 levels. We haven't seen much of Pro Skater 4 yet, but we're hoping that everything is going to be included. Chances are any of like the console exclusive like secret levels that were in the original games probably won't make a comeback. So like for example, in the PS1 and N64 ports of Pro Skater 3, there was an exclusive level called Downhill, I think, not to be confused with Downhill Jam for Pro Skater 1, that only appeared in just those two versions. And also Pro Skater 4 had an additional 2 levels actually on the PS1, which were the sewers and Little Big World. Chances are those levels aren't going to make a comeback in the remake. It would be nice to have all the base levels plus all the secret levels that were in like the various console versions and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much just going to be the main core levels from the main versions of both games, which is fine enough. And also, speaking of the levels as well, that brings me on to the controversial change that they're making to Pro Skater 3 and 4. And that is for Pro Skater 4 specifically, the free roaming aspect that was in the original game is going to be taken out and it's going to be replaced with the traditional 2-minute timer. So if you're not familiar with how Pro Skater 4 worked, basically the original 3 Pro Skaters ran on a 2-minute timer, pretty much. That's how the games were structured. You know, you had 2 minutes, you had a list of objectives you have to do within those 2 minutes, and basically you just have to try and get as many objectives ticked off as possible, you know, try and do as many as you could. Pro Skater 4 got rid of that and instead made the levels free roaming. So it would drop you in a level and you could skate freely, you could do whatever you want, but if you wanted specific challenges or goals, you'd have to go up to NPCs, talk to them, and they would give you a specific challenge. That's going to be completely removed in the remake, and instead it's going to be like Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3, where you just have a 2-minute timer. Now, a lot of people, understandably, are really pissed by this because a lot of people really enjoyed the free roaming aspect of Pro Skater 4. It was kind of like sort of a early proof of concept for what would later become like Tony Hawk's Underground, American Wasteland, you know, when the games got a lot bigger. It's a shame that it's not in the remake, but this honestly doesn't affect me personally. I've always preferred the traditional like 2-minute timer with Pro Skater. You know, that's always been my favorite way of playing the game. And it's just, I don't know, I just find it fun, you know, just trying to get as many of the objectives done as possible in such a short period of time. You know, if you're a really good player as well, you could potentially get like all the objectives in a single run, which I've only been able to do for like some of the more like easier levels, like Pro Skater 1, for example. Is a lot harder than you think. But yeah, I don't know, I've always preferred that structure of Pro Skater personally. Pro Skater 4 with the free roaming stuff was pretty cool. But for me personally, I don't think it really added that much to the game. A lot of the main objectives that you were doing in Pro Skater 4 were like traditional Pro Skater goals, like collecting the skate letters, obviously getting a high score, you know. A lot of it was still very much like the older games, but instead of being restricted by a 2-minute timer, you just, you know, could do whatever goal you wanted in any order. And yeah, you'd get them from NPCs pretty much. A lot of people, like I said, are really annoyed by it. To the point where it seems like some people are straight up boycotting this game because of it. I've seen videos of people saying like, don't pre-order this game because of this change, and like a lot of people are saying like they're just not going to bother playing it because they're really disappointed with the news. I think that's ridiculous personally, to boycott this game because of that. I get it's frustrating, and especially if Pro Skater 4 is your favorite, I understand it. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a good game, even with the changes. I can imagine that a lot of the original goals, like I said, were very similar to the earlier Pro Skaters. So for the most part, you'll basically be doing the same things, but instead you'll just be restricted by the 2-minute timer. And I don't mind that. Me personally, I don't actually mind that. But a lot of people, they do. But yeah, but to go as far to say like not to buy the game because of it, I think is a little ridiculous personally. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's like the main controversy that's been going around with this game, is that they're removing the free roam that was in Pro Skater 4. I do kind of understand why, because they want to streamline the game a lot more. Because otherwise, if they kept it as it was in the remake, it would kind of like, it would kind of be weird going from Pro Skater 3 and 4, because it would be like two completely different games into one. With Pro Skater 1 and 2, it worked because both of those games originally had the 2-minute timer. But with Pro Skater 3 and 4, I don't know, it would just be a bit weird if like one game was the traditional 2-minute timer and the other one was free roam, you know? So they wanted to like streamline it and make both of them, just basically make it like a seamless transition to go from Pro Skater 3 to Pro Skater 4 in this game. So yeah, so that's probably the reason why they're doing it. And not to mention budget as well. Activision probably doesn't want to put a major big budget into this game. They don't want to like redo the voice acting and just like all that stuff, you know? It would just take a lot more time and effort to do the to basically do like the NPCs and stuff. So 2-minute timer, you know, I mean, it is what it is. I personally don't care, but you know, it is a deal breaker for a lot of people. But yeah, another thing as well that a lot of people are pissed off about in this game is the fact that not all the original skaters are going to return. For the most part, they are. So obviously, like, you're going to have, of course, Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen, Steve Caballero, Bob Burnquist, Eric Costin, Kareem Campbell. You know, like, you're going to have a lot of the classic skaters return, as well as, I believe, all of the new skaters, like Tyshawn Jones and Lizzie Armano. A lot of the new skaters that were in Pro Skater 1 and 2, I think, are all returning in 3 and 4. I could be wrong on that. But a lot of them we did see in the trailer. So yeah, so it seems like the Pro Skater 1 and 2 cast will be in this one as well. However, there's going to be a noticeable absence, by the looks of it. And that is Bam Margera. Now, Bam Margera was, of course, mainly known for being in Jackass, and he had his own show on MTV back in the day, Viva La Bam. And he was very much like, he was a big part of the Tony Hawk series. He made his debut in Pro Skater 3. He was also very much a major role in Tony Hawk's Underground 2. You know, the main story in that game being like Team Hawk versus Team Bam. And it seems like for whatever reason, Bam isn't going to make a return in the 3 and 4 remake, which again has pissed off a lot of people. We don't know the exact reason why he's not going to be in there. But I've heard that like Bam himself basically just came out and said on like, I think an Instagram live or something, that Activision didn't come up to him and say like, oh, do you want to be in the 3 and 4 remake? Apparently he heard like nothing involving the game whatsoever from Activision. So yeah, but it hasn't been confirmed just yet that he's not going to be in the game. And it sucks, but you know, is it really that much of a deal breaker? I mean, I literally saw a video the other day of some guy on YouTube, I forgot the dude's name, but basically he was talking about the fact that, you know, like Bam's not going to be in this game. He was very annoyed at that, to the point that he straight up said, no Bam, no buy. Like, this dude literally said he wasn't going to buy the game just because Bam Margera isn't in it. But funny enough, he said in that video that his favourite skateboarder was Jamie Thomas, who's going to be in the game. But yet Bam isn't going to be it, and he said he's not going to buy it because of it. It's just, dude, really? Like, really, is that, of all reasons not to buy a game, because it doesn't have Bam Margera in it? Like, come on. But anyway, so, yeah, again, it's something that doesn't bother me personally. Yes, it sucks, because Bam was such a big part of the Tony Hawk series, but, I mean, it is what it is. Also, speaking of skaters that won't be in this game, obviously, the secret skaters are not going to make a return. I mean, we know Doomslayer is going to be in the game if you pre-order the Digital Deluxe Edition, which is basically a nod to the PC version of Pro Skater 3, which actually had Doom Guy as a playable character in it if you entered in a special cheat code. Yeah, Doom Guy was actually in the original game, only in the PC version though. In this remake, you're going to be able to play as Doom Slayer as well as a Revenant, which is pretty damn cool. But that's probably going to be the only secret skaters that you get in this game. Of course, you're not getting Darth Maul, you're not getting Wolverine, you're not getting Private Carrera, you're not getting Kelly Slayer, you're not getting the Neversoft Eyeball, you're not getting any of that, you know. Due to licensing, they're not going to return the remake, it's just not going to happen. Which is a shame, because Pro Skater 3 had, like, probably some of the best secret skaters in the whole series, next to Fug 2. And, yeah. I mean, Pro Skater 1 and 2 didn't have Spider-Man either, so it's not too surprising. I mean, maybe you might get Officer Dick as well. Maybe being betrayed by Jack Black again, like he was in 1 and 2. But we know Doomslayer's going to be there at least, which is, you know, pretty cool. I mean, is it worth, like, the extra $20, though? If this was the early 2000s, Doomslayer would already be in the game, free of charge. But of course, because it's 2025, they have to charge extra for Doomslayer. Are they going to eventually add him as separate DLC? Because if so, I'll definitely get that. I'm sorry, Activision. As much as I'm excited for this game, there's no way I'm spending an extra £20 or whatever just to get Doomslayer. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it. I'm just going to get the base game, and that is it. And speaking of which, I want to briefly touch upon the various editions of the game that you can get. I'm sure a lot of you already know this already, but just in case you don't, there's going to be 3 different versions of this game that you can pre-order currently. The Standard Edition, the Deluxe Edition, and the Collector's Edition. The Standard Edition is, of course, just the base game on its own. It retails for only £40, so it's a lot less than traditional, you know, AAA game nowadays. Although this game isn't really AAA, but you know what I mean. Which is good, it's reasonably priced. And, you know, and the game is going to be available on basically every console, you know, both current and last gen. So yes, if you are still on PS4 and Xbox One, like myself, you can still have access to the game, which is great. Of course, it's also going to be on Nintendo Switch, as well as, of course, PS5 and Xbox Series X. So, of course, Standard Edition is just the base game, but if you pre-order it, you get access to the Foundry demo, which will be available, I believe, a month before the game comes out. It's similar to what they did with Pro Skater 1 and 2 with the warehouse demo, where it's basically just like, you know, as it implies, you just play one level and that's it pretty much. In this case, Foundry. So yeah, I don't know if you'll get access to that demo if you pre-ordered the game physically, because I pre-ordered the physical PS4 version from Smith's. It actually mentioned in the description on the website, under features, it says like, oh, pre-purchase and get access to the Foundry demo. But I don't know if that applies to the physical release, because I remember for Pro Skater 1 and 2, you can only get the warehouse demo if you pre-order the game digitally. If you pre-order the game physically, you just got fuck all pretty much. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's the same thing this time around, but we'll just have to wait and see. And also as well, you get access to that like wireframe Tony skin as well, which is like a weird inclusion. It would be nice if they added like as a pre-order bonus, like Tony Hawk's original character model from Pro Skater 3. Like, imagine that, like his original model from like the PS2 version, like playable in the game. That would be so sick. Pro Skater HD did something pretty similar. I believe there was the Pro Skater 2 model of Tony Hawk was a secret skater in Pro Skater HD. So if they could do it there, then there's no excuse why they couldn't do it here. But, you know, I think that would be a really cool bonus, rather than just a wireframe Tony. But that's just me personally. And then we have the digital deluxe edition of the game, which includes everything that the base game comes with. So, of course, the game itself, access to the demo, and the wireframe Tony Hawk skin. Also, the deluxe edition also includes Doomslayer and Revenant. So, yeah, it's an extra, like, $20 for the deluxe edition. I mean, like I said, as cool as it is that, you know, we're getting Doomslayer and Revenant in the game, there's no way I'm spending an extra, like, 20 quid for them. And there's also the collector's edition of the game, which comes with an actual physical skateboard. They also do the same thing with Pro Skater 1 2. And yeah, this edition costs around, I think, 120. So yeah, so you get the actual base game, you get a physical copy of it, and you also get a real proper actual skateboard deck, which looks absolutely amazing, you know. It doesn't come with any wheels or anything, it's just a deck on its own, but still, it would make for a really cool display piece. I would get it, but I don't have £120 I can really spend at the moment, so, you know, I'm broke as fuck. But yeah, so those are all the various versions of the game. I've already pre-ordered the base version for the PS4. I am going to plan on getting the other versions, well, at least the other console versions. I'm going to get it for the Switch, as well as the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, because I'm such a big Tony Hawk fan, you know, and I own like a full set of, you know, not to brag, but I own like every version of Pro Skater 3 and 4, you know, every version of Pro Skater 1, 2, like any Tony Hawk game pretty much you can think of, I have every version of. So it only makes sense to also get every version of Pro Skater 3 and 4 as well. So yeah, so pretty much that's all I gotta say. I don't think I missed out on anything, did I? I mean, I guess quickly I could talk about the soundtrack, although currently as I'm filming, they've only revealed just the first wave of the soundtrack. They actually have an official playlist on Spotify of all the songs that's going to be included in the game, which includes a lot of the classics. I mean, of course, you have your Motorhead, Ace of Spades in there. There is also going to be some new songs as well. Again, just like what they did with Pro Skater 1, 2. But like I said, currently as I'm filming, they've only revealed just the first wave of songs. They're going to reveal the others like later on. I'm really hoping they get as much of the original soundtrack as possible, because Pro Skater 3, in my opinion, had the best soundtrack in the entire series. You had absolutely amazing songs in that game. I mean, you had amazing songs in all of them pretty much, especially the Pro Skaters. I really hope they get as many of the original songs as possible. I hope Wish by Alien Ant Farm is in there. If You Must by Del the Funky Homo Sapien. I'ma Swing It by House of Pain, you know. Let's Get Dirty by Redman, I think it is. Yeah, those are my favourites in Pro Skater 3, and I hope they make a return in this game. And obviously for Pro Skater 4, they got to have AC/DC. I mean, come on, it's the intro song to Pro Skater 4. They got to have it in there. NWA Express Yourself, that was in the original game. I hope that makes a return as well. Of course, not everything's going to be included because of licensing and stuff, but I hope they have as much of the original soundtrack as possible, while also including like some new stuff as well. And hopefully the new stuff's pretty good as well. I'll be honest, I wasn't really the biggest fan of some of the new songs that they added in 1 and 2. There were some I did really enjoy, but others I just kind of felt a bit out of place in my opinion. I mean, it is what it is, you know. I mean, it's good to have like something new, I guess, in a remake. But and also speaking of new, this is something that I completely forgot to mention in my trailer reaction. And I'll mention this pretty quick actually. This is going back to the levels that was mentioned earlier. This game is actually going to have 2 brand new levels. At least I think it's 2. We already know of one called Water Park, which is the one that's actually on the front cover of the game. And I believe there's also another one that's called like Pinball, which we've only seen from like a low quality image of like the back cover of the collector's edition so far. So yeah, so Iron Galaxy has actually given us some brand new levels, completely built from scratch specifically for this game. Which I'm really excited for, you know. I mean, new Tony Hawk levels, I mean, hell yeah, man. Hopefully this eventually leads into like a new Pro Skater game, which I think is what they're probably going to do next after this. A lot of people assume that they're going to remake Thug and Thug 2 after this. I don't think that's going to happen personally, and I'll explain why in a minute. But yeah, we're getting brand new levels in this game, which I can't wait. You know, the Water Park level looks absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, and I guess this is to make up for not having the exclusive console levels that were in the original games, you know, I guess. And just to wrap this video up real quickly, I just want to briefly talk about, you know, kind of the future of Tony Hawk, like after this game comes out. A lot of people assume, because they remade Pro Skater 1 and 2, and now they're doing 3 and 4, a lot of people think, oh, the next step naturally is to do the Underground games. I don't think that's going to happen, personally. And the reason why I don't think Underground's getting a remake is because, well, for one, the Underground games were on a way bigger scope than the Pro Skater games. You know, this is when the series went like proper like open world, and like the story mode and stuff was introduced in these games. You know, they were a lot bigger than the Pro Skaters. And remember, Pro Skater 4 is not having the free roam in this game. Like, they're cutting corners and just making it the 2-minute timer instead. So if they can't even do free roam for Pro Skater 4, what makes you think they're going to do the open world and the story in Underground? I mean, think about it. If they were going to remake the Underground games, they'd have to redo all the cutscenes from scratch, possibly redo all the voice acting if they can't get access to the original recordings. They'll have to redo all that. And I don't think they're going to see the appeal of, you know, putting a big budget into a Thug remake. Because if we're being honest, it's not going to sell nowhere near as much as a Pro Skater remake. An Underground remake is only really going to appeal to just the hardcore Tony Hawk fans. It doesn't have that like casual appeal that Pro Skater has, because the people who maybe played the games when they were younger and, you know, want that nostalgia hit, so they'll buy like the remakes. I just don't see it doing the same numbers that a Pro Skater remake would do, you know. I just really don't. Not to mention as well, with Underground 2, that one especially could not get remade, because if you played Underground 2, you would know that like a lot of the humor in that game, which was like a core part of it, because Thug 2 is very much like over the top Jackass inspired, a lot of the humor in that game would not go over well today. There's a lot of stuff in that game that's very questionable. And again, and these games are just kind of, they're just a product of their time, to be honest. I get it's what people want, but the Underground games are just very much like of their time. I just don't see them remaking them, personally. Because they would have to put, if they're going to do it properly, they'll have to put like a big budget into it. And I just don't see them doing that. Especially because, again, Pro Skater 4 isn't even going to have the free roam in this. So, yeah, I hate to break it to you people. I don't think they're going to remake Underground after this. I think what they're going to do is that if this game becomes a success, 3 and 4, and Iron Galaxy proves themselves, you know, as being a worthy developer of the Tony Hawk series, if they do a good job, I think what they might do is that you probably might get a Pro Skater 6. More than likely what they're going to do is that if this game does well and Iron Galaxy becomes a new default studio of the series, chances are they're probably going to do a completely new Pro Skater game rather than a Underground game. Because with Pro Skater, it's a lot easier to make than, you know, Underground, where we have to do like all the cutscenes and you know what I mean. So that's what I feel like they're going to do, personally. I mean, they could surprise us with an Underground remake, potentially, but I just don't see it happening, personally. Let me know down in the comments, like, what do you think will they potentially do, like, after 3 and 4 comes out? Do you think they're going to do a completely new Pro Skater game? Do you think they're going to do more remakes? Or what? I'm curious to know, like, what do you think the future of the series is going to be like? But basically, that's all I've got to say, pretty much. That's my overall thoughts on Pro Skater 3 and 4. I'm really excited for it. This potentially is going to be my game of the year. I've been playing a hell of a lot of Pro Skater 1 and 2 again in preparation for 3 and 4. And that game is just absolutely phenomenal, you know. Like, Pro Skater 1 and 2, if you haven't played it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's honestly, like, it's one of the best in the series. Like, honestly, it's up there with some of the original Neversoft games. It is that damn good. And if 3 and 4 plays just as good as 1 and 2, which it looks like it's going to, this game is going to be an automatic, just, yeah. I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. And like I said, I'm not bothered by the 2-minute change in Pro Skater 4. In fact, if anything, I actually prefer it. I actually prefer the 2-minute timer. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the game in the comments, and if the lack of free roam in Pro Skater 4 bothers you or not. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I can't wait. July 11th, man, it's going to be good, you know. And if you have Xbox Game Pass, you can also play the game day one on there as well. You don't even have to buy it if you don't want to, you know, you can just play it on there. It's an exciting time to be a Tony Hawk fan for sure, you know. I mean, we've been starving for the last 5 years. A lot of us didn't think that 3 and 4 would ever get a remake, you know, after the initial version by Vicarious Visions got cancelled. But the fact that it's actually coming back, and yeah, it's just insane, you know. The fact this game's actually happening again is insane. So anyway, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I shall see you guys in my next video. Until then, take care now.